Every band director wants a strong culture, students who are hardworking, respectful, and proud to be part of the program. But here's the truth. Culture isn't built by simply having a mission statement about what your program stands for. It's built every single day through the standards you set, the behaviors you reinforce, and the example you model as a director. Let's talk about it. Building a strong band culture starts with us. As directors, we're responsible for setting the tone of our classrooms long before our students ever have the opportunity to contribute to it. Every rehearsal, every interaction, every expectation, and every decision we make is slowly shaping the kind of culture our students experience. Whether we realize it or not, our students are constantly watching us. They're watching how we respond when someone makes a mistake. They're watching how we handle conflict. They're watching how we celebrate success. And they're even watching how we speak about other students, teachers, administrators, and parents. Our students learn just as much from what we model as they do from what we teach. That's why culture always starts with the director. From there, the expectations you consistently reinforce begin shaping the culture of your band program. Every band program has expectations from the director, whether they're clearly defined or not. Maybe your expectation is that your students enter the room quietly and begin setting up immediately. Maybe it's the level of tone quality you expect from your ensembles. Maybe it's how students treat one another during rehearsal. Or maybe it's simply showing up prepared every single day. Whatever your expectations are, they're constantly communicating to students what matters in your classroom. The important part is consistency. Students don't learn your expectations because you talked about them on the first day of school. They learn them because they see them reinforced throughout the entire school year. If we expect great rehearsal etiquette one day but overlook poor behavior the next, we're sending mixed messages. If we demand musical excellence but ignore how students treat one another, we're teaching that achievement matters more than character. Our students notice those inconsistencies, and every decision we make in those moments either strengthens our culture or weakens it. That's why consistency is so important. When it comes to how you treat your students within your program, it's possible to promote excellence and kindness at the same time. Sometimes directors feel like they have to choose between building a disciplined program or building a welcoming one, and I just don't believe that's true. I believe the strongest band cultures have both. Students should absolutely be challenged to perform at a high level. They should be held accountable for their preparation, their rehearsal etiquette, and the quality of their musicianship. But they should also know that they're respected, that they're encouraged, that mistakes are part of learning, and that every correction you give is intended to help them grow. I've found that students respond incredibly well when they know their director believes in them. High standards of excellence don't necessarily push students away. A lack of respect does. At the end of the day, the goal isn't simply to have a great band. It's to use music as a vehicle to help students grow to become great people. The next step is to intentionally create experiences that students look forward to being a part of, and one of the best ways to do this is by building traditions. Traditions give students something to anticipate every year. They create memories that students associate with your program, and over time, they become part of your identity as a band. Maybe your 8th graders receive a special recognition before they move on to high school. Maybe your seniors write letters for the next class of student leaders. Maybe you have an awards banquet at the end of every school year. The tradition itself isn't nearly as important as the consistency behind it. When students know that certain moments are part of being in your band, those moments become something they look forward to experiencing and eventually passing on to the students who come after them. And over time, traditions stop belonging to just you. They become something your students take pride in carrying on and preserving on their own. As directors, we spend so much time focused on making great music that it's easy to overlook celebrating behaviors just as much as we celebrate achievements. It's easy to celebrate first place trophies, superior ratings, honor band acceptances, and outstanding performances. Those are exciting moments, and our students absolutely deserve to be recognized for those accomplishments. But if those are the only things that we celebrate, we're unintentionally teaching students that results matter more than character. Think about the behaviors that actually make your program successful. A student helping someone pack up after rehearsal, an older student encouraging a younger player who had a rough day, a section that stays after class to organize equipment without being asked, or students who just consistently show up prepared. Those moments deserve recognition too, because those are the behaviors that create the kind of culture every director hopes to build. I've found that students begin repeating the behaviors that receive positive attention. If we only praise achievement, students chase achievement. But if we consistently praise kindness, responsibility, leadership, and effort, those behaviors begin spreading throughout the band room as well. That's the kind of culture that lasts. Another aspect to how directors build a strong culture is by making sure that every student feels like they matter. Sometimes it's easy to unintentionally focus most of your attention on your top performers or your student leaders because they're the students we interact with most often. But culture isn't built by your strongest players alone. It's built by every student sitting in your classroom. The quiet trumpet player sitting in the back row, the percussionist who's still trying to find their confidence, or the clarinet player who struggles every day but continues showing up and giving their best effort. Every one of those students contributes to the culture of your program. Students don't have to be your first chair player to be valuable. They simply need to know that they are valued. When students feel seen, respected, and appreciated, they're much more likely to invest themselves in the success of the program because they feel like they're genuinely a part of it. And excellence becomes much easier to achieve when students first feel like they belong. Students who feel accepted are more willing to take risks, they're more willing to ask questions, they're more willing to make mistakes because they know that mistakes are part of learning instead of something to be embarrassed about. In many ways, a sense of belonging creates the environment where excellence can grow. If you followed these steps and you've begun to see your culture grow, your greatest responsibility is protecting what you've worked so hard to build. The reality is that culture can take years to establish, but it can begin to unravel surprisingly quickly if we're not intentional about protecting it. That doesn't mean every student has to be perfect, and it doesn't mean that there won't be conflict or difficult conversations. Every band program experiences those things. Protecting your culture simply means being willing to address behaviors that consistently pull your program away from the environment you're trying to create. If disrespect becomes acceptable, your culture changes. If negativity becomes acceptable, your culture changes. If students stop treating one another with kindness and nobody addresses it, your culture changes. Going back to one of the first points I made in this video, the expectations you establish help create your culture, but the expectations you're willing to protect determine whether that culture lasts. And if you've done everything you can as the director to build a strong culture, once that foundation has been established, something really special begins to happen. The culture slowly stops belonging to just you, the director, and starts belonging to the students. That's when you know it's becoming real. And that's where I believe the strongest band programs separate themselves from the rest. One thing I've learned over the years is that a strong band culture becomes sustainable when it is student driven. Once you have established the foundation, your students will begin reinforcing everything without you having to ask. They remind one another to be prepared, they encourage one another after mistakes, they help younger students learn the routines, they celebrate each other's successes, and they naturally begin modeling the behaviors that you have demonstrated as the director. That's when culture starts multiplying, and that's when the culture deepens to what students do when you're not watching. It's easy for students to follow expectations when the director is standing 10 feet away. But what happens when you're helping another section? What happens when you step into your office for a moment? What happens when students are loading equipment after a competition, waiting backstage before a concert, or riding the bus home from a festival? Those moments reveal the culture. If students continue making good decisions when you're not present, it's because those behaviors have become part of who they are as people, rather than something they do simply because they're being supervised. I believe that's one of the greatest jobs we have as educators, not cultivating an environment where students make good choices simply because they're afraid of getting in trouble, but cultivating an environment where students make good choices because they genuinely care about the people around them. Student ownership is going to be another factor that can help the culture of your band program be student-driven. Students naturally care more about things that they help build, and that ownership can look different in every band program. Maybe your section leaders help run sectionals, maybe older students mentor beginning musicians, maybe they help organize equipment after rehearsals or help organize recruitment events. Maybe they welcome new students into the program and help them feel comfortable during those first few weeks. Whatever it looks like, student ownership communicates something important. It tells students that this isn't just the director's program, it's their program too. And when students begin thinking that way, they stop asking, what does my director need me to do? They begin asking, how can I best do what I already know my director expects of me? And that's a powerful shift, because once students begin taking ownership of the culture themselves, you've created something much bigger than a well-managed classroom. You've created a community. The final key to creating a student-driven band culture is this: culture grows through stories. Think back to your own band experience. You probably don't remember everything, but I bet you remember the traditions your band had. You remember a funny moment on a bus ride. You remember the director who believed in you, the upperclassmen who took you under their wing, the first standing ovation your band received at a marching band competition, or the senior who always made everyone feel included. Those are the stories that stay with us, and every year your students are creating those same stories for the students who will come after them. That's why student leaders are so important. I'm not just talking about your drum majors or your section leaders. I'm talking about every student who chooses to model the culture you've worked so hard to build. Every time an older student encourages a younger one, every time someone helps another student without being asked, every time a student chooses kindness instead of criticism, they're teaching your culture. And often they're teaching it more effectively than we can because students naturally look up to other students. And that's why positive student leaders have the ability to amplify your culture far beyond what we could accomplish by ourselves. Eventually, something really rewarding begins to happen. Your culture starts surviving your absence. Rehearsal etiquette is still there even if you are out sick. If you have to step away during a football game, students are still representing your program well. Students may even begin living out your band culture outside of your program. Those are some of the most rewarding moments a band director can experience, because that's when you realize the culture no longer depends entirely on you. It has become part of the identity of the program. And I believe that's what great band culture really is. It's not loud, it's not forced, and it's not something students have to be reminded of every single day. It's invisible. It's simply the way your students treat one another, the way they represent the program, the standards they naturally uphold, and the pride they have in being a member of your band. The beautiful thing about culture is that it isn't built in one rehearsal, one concert, or even one school year. It's built one interaction at a time, one expectation at a time, one tradition at a time, and one student at a time. So if you're looking to build a stronger band culture, don't start by asking yourself how you can change everything right now. Start by asking yourself what you can consistently reinforce starting tomorrow. Because over time, those small decisions become habits, those habits become traditions, those traditions become culture, and that culture becomes the legacy of your band program. If you want to learn more about building your school presence outside of your band program, check out this video right here. And be sure to grab my free band director yearly calendar template from the link in the description or the pinned comment of this video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.